Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. I'm so glad we're back for another week of e-learning. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope that you and your family were able to get outside and play in the sunshine. We're supposed to have another good week. So I want to tell you a little bit about the learning this week. In math, you'll do some more measuring. In reading, Mrs. Fletcher will do some lessons on inferencing, and then I'm also going to do some in this video. In writing, we are going to do some journal writing. One day when you are old and gray like Mrs. Ewan, see my gray hairs, you will look back at this time in your life and want to remember some of the things that happened and how you were feeling and how unique this situation really was. So we're going to make a journal that we want you to keep for the rest of your life. You'll be able to talk to your grandkids about it one day. Science, we're doing Earth Day activities. I think they are very fun. You've got a Kahoot game today to try. We'll do some spelling. I'm meeting one-on-one with each of you. So if your parents haven't signed you up yet, if you could remind them, it's a 15-minute Zoom conference, just me and you. Just a good way for us to check in. I'll just need you to bring a book to read a little bit to me. Otherwise, we are going to have a great week. Look for that Oak Trace announcements. As soon as I get them in my email, I'll post them in the classwork. So remember, when you log into Google Classroom, go to the top and click Classwork. It is way more organized than the stream. And I believe that's it. So we're going to get started. So what I want to be doing in these videos, because I only get a few more with you, 4 more weeks, is really make sure that you are a strong reader when you go to 2nd grade. So I'm going to kind of go back to the beginning and go through all the things we've learned as good readers. So boys and girls, I have a new book. I need everybody to go grab their book. So if you need to go push pause on this video and grab your book. Alrighty, this is my new book. This is called Pinky and Rex and the New Neighbors. So check out this picture. Think to yourself what this might be about. There is a blurb on the back that I'm going to read. Rex's neighbor, Mrs. Morgan, is going to move. Sure, she used to be a mean old witch, but now she's a special friend to Pinky and Rex. They know they'll visit Mrs. Morgan often at her new apartment. But who will be Rex's new neighbors, and what will they be like? So boys and girls, what we do, the reason we do these sneak peeks is we do something called infer, or make an inference. So I bet you know what New Neighbors is. It told us that these two characters, Pinky and Rex, are going to have something with new neighbors. Also use the picture to look. Somebody's moving in or somebody's moving out. Now think about a time you had that experience. Either you moved or maybe somebody in your neighborhood moved away. So make an inference. How did that make you feel? Let's look at this little poster that I made right here. Inferences. Information from the text. So we just looked at the text, we looked at that picture, and we learned that Pinky and Rex are losing somebody they like, Mrs. Morgan, and somebody new is coming in. Then you add that with background knowledge, what you already know. Has this happened to you before, or have you read a book where new neighbors have moved in? When you make an inference, you go beyond the author's words to understand what is not said in the text. So we're going to be practicing that for a couple weeks, going beyond what's said in the text and using our smart brains to learn more. It's sort of like a prediction, but it's a really smart prediction because we use information from the text and our own knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to start reading this story. I'm going to read 2 chapters. There are 7 chapters in this book. Now, good readers also look at the chapters, the chapter titles, and infer. Bad news. Chapter 1 is called Bad News. So I think to myself, it's going to be something bad. And I think about times when I've had bad news. When I was getting ready to start 8th grade, my dad gave me bad news that we were moving to a new city, a new state. So I think about how I felt moving. Chapter 1, Bad News. Now I also want you to check out this picture. I see nail polish. So I know what nail polish is. I'm guessing that there's going to be some girls doing some nails. I'm inferring that because I see this and what I know about girls and nail polish. Chapter 1. The first Rex heard about it was from her. I'm going to start that over. The first Rex heard about it was from her babysitter. Mara was putting fingernail polish on Rex at the time, something Rex only allowed Mara to do because she used cool colors like green and purple. At the moment, Mara was painting Rex's nails blue with sparkles. So boys and girls, it didn't tell us that Rex heard the news, what news it is, but we know it's bad news and we know it's probably about somebody moving. It hasn't told us that, but we're already making inferences. Good news about Mrs. Morgan, isn't it? Mara said, referring to Rex's neighbor. What news? Rex asked. Haven't you heard? Mara seemed surprised. She's moving. How now maybe you'll have somebody nice living next door. So you can check out this picture. Without thinking, Rex twisted her body away to look in the direction of Mrs. Morgan's house. Careful, Mara said. Sorry, said Rex, giving her hand back to the babysitter. I didn't know Mrs. Morgan was moving. Mara studied Rex's face. Aren't you glad? You almost look sad or something. Rex shrugged. I am, sort of. But why? She's a mean old witch, remember? Rex remembered that a mean old witch was what all the kids in the neighborhood had once called Mrs. Morgan. It wasn't a nice name, but it fit her. She had been mean, but then she changed. She'd become a special friend to Rex and her best friend, Pinky. So boys and girls, before I read the rest of this chapter, I am guessing from what the text just told me that she had once been mean, but then she changed. My inference is that maybe Rex and Pinky finally gave her a chance, and maybe she did some nice things with them. Mrs. Morgan gave them cookies and lemonade on hot days, cookies and cocoa on cold days. She had once shown them faded photographs of herself when she was their age, and given each of them a book from her childhood with her name printed inside the front cover in pencil. Ooh, if somebody did that for me, I would really love that. If my next door neighbor made me cocoa and chocolate and gave me a special book with photographs, wow, I can see why they really must like her. Now, it doesn't say that they love her or that they're super sad, but I'm inferring that this is rough for Rex, that she really has a special friendship with Mrs. Morgan. She's not so bad, Rex said at last. Mara, who had been Rex's babysitter since she was little, shook her head. That's not what you used to say. I know, but I like her now. Mara put the last bit of nail polish on Rex's nails and closed the bottle. So I guess it isn't good news, she said. No, said Rex. She just couldn't imagine the house next door without Mrs. Morgan in it. Chapter 2 is called For Sale, and the only thing you really see is a for sale sign in front of the house. Pinky couldn't imagine it either. I thought she'd always be there, he said to Rex as they played in Rex's backyard. Me too, said Rex. Did you see the sign? Pinky nodded. A for sale sign had gone up in front of Mrs. Morgan's house. I wonder who's going to move in. Maybe they'll have kids, Pinky thought. Suddenly, he was worried. We'll still be friends though, right? Of course. Even if a girl moves in next door? Rex gave Pinky a look. Don't be dumb, she said. So boys and girls, here's a wonderful place to infer. So Rex said, we'll still be best friends, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Pinky said, we'll still be best friends, right? Because, and even if it's a girl that moved in. So what can you infer about Pinky? I can infer, so hopefully you thought of something, is that she's worried that it would, he's worried that he might be replaced as her best friend. Pinky smiled. Mrs. Morgan shouted hello from her backyard. Pinky and Rex went running. Minutes later, they were helping her set up her easel. I never realized there were so many things in this yard I wanted to paint, and now I have so little time to do it. Why does she have so little time to do it now? Oh, right, because she's moving. You could come back to visit, said Rex. Mrs. Morgan smiled sweetly at her young friend. I don't think the new people would care to have me roaming around their house with paints and easels. Who are the new people? Pinky asked. Well, I have no idea, said Mrs. Morgan. No one has even looked at the house yet, but someone will buy it, and then it will be theirs. Oh my, she said, with a sudden faraway look in her eyes. It won't be mine anymore. After 37 years, imagine that. Why do you have to move? Pinky asked. I don't, she said, but I want to. Now don't take that the wrong way, she told her little neighbors. I'm not tired of you. It's just that when you get to be my age, it becomes harder to take care of a house. Boys and girls, this is our last inference. This is a really important one. Check out what Miss Morgan looks like. She's older, right? Now think about somebody that you know that is older. So I'm thinking about my grandparents, and I know that they cannot take care of their house anymore. Now my grandparents are older than yours, so they can't take care of their house anymore. Their bones are just weak. It's just not healthy for them. So I'm inferring that she needs to go somewhere where somebody can help her take care of her house. Even though I enjoy your company, I don't have many other visitors. I get lonely. Are you moving far away? Asked Rex, watching as Mrs. Morgan began to squeeze some color from a tube onto her palette. I'm moving into a housing complex for seniors, she said, winking at the kids. That means old folks. It's right here in town. I'll have my own apartment so I can still bake cookies when you come visit. Rex broke into a big smile. Neat, she cried. As Mrs. Morgan studied the flowers in her garden, deciding where to begin, she said, I hope you'll visit often. She poked her brush into a dab of bright yellow and began to paint. So boys and girls, let's look back at the video, at the poster. Because, this is even losing it. There we go. I want you to try this with your book. If it's a new book, start with what it's going to be about. Infer what it's going to be about. If it's not a new book, where can you find a spot to infer? Remember, you use information from the text, plus what you already know, maybe something that's happened to you in your life, and you make an inference. So we'll keep practicing this. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.